go from having everything being a wonderful, loving, happy kid to nothing in 10 minutes.
First of all, can I say to you that I'm so sorry?
Well, I appreciate it.
That's
And 5 minutes.
And there is a potential, I mean, I know that it's pretty, like right now it's very volatile, but I think when the councils and the township boards sit down and we work through issues, I just know that we're gonna find an answer.
You've already found one. That friend.
Please. Thank you. Ms. Farley?
My name's Fred Farley. I'm the council president of the town of Atlanta. I think I'm understanding this, and correct me if I'm not. But the notice that we received last week from the Jksn Township Board states that you are pulling out of territory July 1, 16. And you made known this evening that is correct.
Speak up.
You said this evening that nothing will change.
There's a possibility for that to happen if we contract with each other.
If we can contract with each other. What will change currently with a fire territory board, a fire territory, you have an advisory board, which is you folks tonight, correct? That oversees like a check and balance of the territory. Jksn Township being a provider unit, you are in charge of the funds. You manage the tax base. This group here oversees that process.
The daily running.
Daily running of the territory. Effective July 1st, what will change, that will no longer be the
That
case.
is true, that board will not exist again.
That board will not exist. So then you folks would be the sole operators of the fire department. Fire protection. Then it would be up to the communities to contract with you.
Or whomever
directly.
they decide, yes.
For a fee, obviously.
And certainly, we're all in respect of the fees, we know that the money we're getting, I mean, that would be something that we need to discuss. And I will tell you that we're fine with that, I know the board is fine with that.
Well, I'm sure you are. I mean, we're paying taxes right now, you know, our tax rate is set, and by looking at your financials, and I know you keep talking about down the road, you appear to be in decent shape.
Well, we've got to start paying all the firemen now because the grants are gone, so that one.
So you knew that all along?
We had grant money that was coming in, and that grant money is no longer going to be coming in.
But you knew that when you got the grant?
Agreed.
So what did
This gentleman here with the glasses? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just had a comment, not really a question. In the township board, they're not a bunch of idiots drinking from the same well. They know what they're doing. Sorry about that. They're sitting there and they know, we can't go to Sheridan, we can't go to Cicero, we can't go to Tipton, we can't go to Westfield. The only thing we can do is recontract with them. So they drop out, force us to recontract and give them more money. It's a simple thing that they're doing. It's stupid and it's putting lives at risk,
It is.
but that's what's going on.
It's control. It's control.
I was just wondering, what would an average contract cost if the township were to contract with our people? Or,
I think that if we would look at that 0.196%. But that's, again.
Isn't that more?
that's what they're paying.
Yeah, and that's, but that does not, that does not allow the COA to come back to the fire fund, and by doing that, the COA will come back to the fire fund.
So Arcadia is currently paying around $70,000, so would a contract be more than that?
I would say that that's something that I can't say that. I want the boards to be sitting down to say that. This is an informational meeting, and I want to be very respectful of town council and the township boards, that we have that discussion in that atmosphere.
So basically, your ultimate goal is that you just want the city to pay the co-op. That's what you want.
Yeah, they want us to give more code.
Yeah.
All right.
It's already been an argument.
It's getting a little bit out of control, people are talking over and over, nobody understands what people are saying because they can't hear it, right? So I'm gonna try to control this again. I have a young lady right there patiently had her arms up there for a while. Go ahead.
I just want to make a comment.
Yes.
I am a heart patient, and I've had 4 heart surgeries since 2003. And I feel like my life is being ransomed, and you're trying to extort the towns. Because all you want is more money, and so we're being extorted and holding everybody for ransom.
I just want everybody to know that this COA issue is a non-issue, and this was, when the fire territory was formed, each unit lost a little bit of tax revenue, and the selling point to the fire territory was you will get your revenue back when the COA is stepped up. And that has happened, and when that happened was when the township decided that they needed Atlanta and Arcadia's COA money to have the territory survive. And now the township is making a decision, guessing that there is going to be a financial crisis and guessing that they are going to get COA money. She's already backpedaled in this meeting and said, oh, we can carry you through to the end of the year. I think that should a financial crisis arise, then it should be revisited. But right now, there is not one, and I think you underestimated the taxpayers when you thought they were just gonna buy into this. There is no way you can take what has happened, take one entity, split it 3 ways, and have a better situation. There's not, and right now, the Atlanta Fire Station is the one that is empty.
Yes, ma'am.
You keep saying that they made the decision. The decision's been made as of July 1st. But then you keep saying, well, we can do this until December. You know, we can get through until December. So if the decision's been made, then why do you keep saying that we can go till December?
The state statute says that you have to make the decision before April 1st to either form the territory or dissolve the territory.
Which, according to you, you've done.
Yeah, we have. And then, but the budget has been set for 2016. So should the 2 towns decide that they want to just run the budget the way it is, we can do that. It's a decision.
So what if we decide not to? Then what happens to that money?
Then at the end of December, the township writes a check back to Arcadia and back to Atlanta for the portion that they put in.
Okay, and another question I have is, you told, I think this gentleman, that or somebody, that the equipment, like here in Arcadia, and I don't know about Atlanta, was paid by the incorporated fund. Unincorporated. All right, is the corporated and unincorporated money kept separate? Can you prove to us that all that equipment has been paid with unincorporated funds?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You go out to Gateway, but there's a fire equipment debt fund.
Yeah.
And that's a separate bond that was placed on the people that live outside the town. So and that was done before I was put into office. And so the unincorporated, so the people that live outside the city limits, purchased a $450,000 engine, a $130,000 ambulance. We also brought the old ambulance that we had to the table. We have a tanker that hauls, I believe, 1,200 gallons, am I right? 2,100 gallons of water, and we have a grass truck.
As Andy just said, where do you get your water from now? You get it from our towns, right?
Yes. Well, we fight fires in the towns too.
Well, that's true, but what I'm saying is, you're using our tax dollars. You're getting that, so we're paying you that. And then you want.
The town of Atlanta's paid around 20,000, the town of Arcadia around 70, and the unincorporated 530.
So when you figured your thing, did you figure for like growth for the area? Was that considered in your process?
Yeah.
Who did your analysis?
Jeff Peters from Peters Municipality did that.
So has any report been shown to any of the towns?
It will be. I mean, it absolutely will be.
So you made this decision. Okay, you made a decision without contacting the fire territory without contacting the towns. And you have this here, so wouldn't it have been more better to call these gentlemen in the fire territory and say, we've got this, we need you to look at it, we need to make a combined decision, and then open it to the public and let us voice our concerns, then sit down and make your decision instead of doing it behind closed doors at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
We did that much.
Okay, we have a question over here, please, sir.
Oh, no, it's already been answered.
Andy, you got a question? Okay, yes, sir.
Okay, small question. If it's gonna be fire territory meeting, is there something to be done to hold it in the evening when people are home, not 3 o'clock when everybody's working? Or they're township, that's why I'm sorry, township.
We've had meetings at 6:30 and nobody came, so we put it back at 3 o'clock. Look what happened when we went up there.
Larry, as far as the meetings being changed, the fire territory meetings, when I first got on this board, was also at 3 or 3:30 following immediately after theirs, and that's what it was scheduled. I had complaints from residents from my community that I support. I requested that that be changed so that they had the opportunity to show up after work. The territory meetings got moved to 6:30, and that's where you're at tonight. We moved the territory meetings to give the people the opportunity to come and hear what we got to say and what we're doing as a fire territory.
You did the right thing,
chose to
John.
stay.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Yes, sir.
I just remember, it was some years ago, well, the last time I saw you was down here at the town, at the Arcadia Firehouse, and you were getting quite a bit then.
5 years ago.
5 years ago, thank you. Maurice, you remember, most of us were there. Very apprehensive as to what was going on, and, about combining everybody and dissolving the towns and, what's going on, and you assured us, that we were represented properly. But just from what I can see here tonight, it sounds like 3 or 4 people, not even living in these towns, have voted us out. Exactly what everybody was afraid of, and you said it wouldn't happen. I'm telling you, you did.
She's one of them.
Everybody, one of them. Thank you for correcting me. And it happened. Is any of those people that voted us out live in this area? Is it going to harm them in any way? No. It's not. I know all of them, and I know where they live, and I don't hold anything against them, but I don't feel like they have the right to kick us out of, or basically they're going to cost, I said that wrong, they're not kicking us out, but they're going to cost us more. That was just unreasonable. So thank you for allowing, you guys somehow, however that happened, somebody allowed this to happen. Yeah.
There was a question, yes, ma'am.
At the beginning of this meeting, I mentioned something about a grant.
About what, please?
A grant. If you guys thought about a grant. I'm shocked that you haven't even researched that farther if you knew this was coming down the pipe.
First of all, the town just found out about that. That's number one. There have been grant money that was received from the fire department. In fact, I think it was well over probably $200,000 we received grant money to hire firefighters and paramedics in school and all that. And we had a grant writer at the fire department that did that. But as far as putting a town, I'm not sure if we would qualify for a grant. I'd have to look into that. We have a grant writer here in Arcadia.
Yeah, I was going to say, you have one right down the road, don't you?
If there was a possibility, yes. But again, this is new, this is all brand new for us right now. So we're in the initial stage of trying to get up and move and get things done in a timely manner. And, one of those options could be a grant. If one is available, we would. But normally, that grant takes anywhere from 1 to 2 years, 3 years. It's not an immediate.
Well, you might have that for 2 years down the line.
Yeah.
You were talking about, if there were a fire here, say that they pull out and you get someone else, that there's a big fire, and they come and help, well then who pays them at that point? If they're no longer contracted to them, who would pay for that?
Well, unfortunately, if it's EMS, they have to go back to the insurance and the owner of the home and the one who's affected.
So the individual.
The individual patients, yes.
We also all try to, there's a fire.
But as far, if anybody, we have some firemen back here, and we all understand that. If there's a fire somewhere, there's always an abundance of firefighters gonna be there, whether it's Cicero or Sheridan or whatever. Police operate the same way, you know, if you need a backup, you know, Cicero's there, or somebody, or the county. There's always somebody here to help. That's the brothers type thing, you know, that's what they do. And that's why it would never allow, first of all, a building to burn down because there's no money available. But we do have, the towns have to get an agreement, do something between now and July 1st to ensure that we have a permanent stay and not just a temporary change to it. And I can assure you Arcadia is doing that. Yes, sir.
Yes, I'd like to ask Chris, you know, after hearing everything being discussed tonight, and this is just a discussion, I've heard you make the comment that you were waiting for proper boards to sit down and work out a situation. It's been my impression here tonight, listening to everybody, that if you are so concerned with the two other entities working out a workable situation, so that we would have fire and EM service for all the communities, that would be great. But yet I see, from my point of view, you simply had a meeting that no one was really aware of, and you cut off all avenues for negotiation, and you said, basically what you're telling everybody here today is, it's my way or the highway. I want what I want, when I want it, as much as I want, and if you don't like it, hit the door and go somewhere else. Well, that is not negotiations to me. To me, that's a stranglehold. That's almost, you know.
The only thing that I would say back to is that we tried really hard to have joint meetings with the fire board, and we were told that we didn't want it. So, and it's in the statute of how to handle it.
Yes, sir, all the way back. You've been waving your hand back there.
Yeah, I know when the school put in, they wanted to do water sprinklers, that the town didn't have enough water pressure. And I'm curious, did the schools get in their sprinklers? And also, I thought they did, but there were some updates. The schools didn't put in water sprinklers.
I don't know where you got your information, but there's never been a pressure problem.
Well, I got to go with the guy that was doing the work in town.
He must have misinformed you. He must have misinformed you because there's never been.
But my other question is, Cicero covers for another township. And perhaps more than just that other township. Does Jksn Township cover for other townships? No?
Mutually.
He used to. You won't let him lost.
I can't speak for Cicero, I'm not sure what they're.
Well, I know that Cicero covers for another township. I can tell you a good story about it, about the state policemen and whatnot, but.
Yes, sir.
When I lived in Millville, we had a fire. And believe it or not, they did 4 blocks with the fire department. The fire department came and put the fire out with halfway secured. Our house could have been saved a lot better if the fire truck from the 4 blocks came down instead of waiting till they got halfway secured down there. So if you're going to have other towns coming in here putting the fire out, you might have figured you're going to have some time in there before they get here. Same way with medic or what it is, because like the fire department said, you're lucky to be out of the house alive, because like I said, it took a lot longer for them to come down than if they just sent somebody from 4 blocks away. So I don't know what their problem was.
I don't either, sir. Yes, ma'am, the nurse back there, please.
I just wanted to say, I live in the unincorporated area, and I actually attended some of these meetings, and the first meeting I ever attended was the trustee board meeting right when the COIT stuff was coming down. This has been a year ago now. Lots of controversy, discussions about whether the towns would keep the COIT money or it would go to the fire territory. I probably attended a few fire territory boards and a few trustee board meetings. And it was crystal clear to me for the past year that this was going to come to this. To say that nobody knew it was going to happen, that this has blindsided everybody, is I don't think accurate, because I don't know any of this stuff. I didn't know what a COIT was, I didn't know anything, but it was very clear to me that there was gonna be a deadline of April where there was gonna have to be a decision made because the township trustees board made it very clear that there would not be enough money to continue this if it didn't involve the COA. And so there was a huge disagreement. Intelligent minds can disagree about whether the COA money is truly needed for the territory or not. But the fact that this is sort of new to your leaders is really not accurate. And I want to say that because I sat and listened to it and sort of, so I want you to be aware of that. This is not, the fact that the vote came down and the letter came may have been a shock, but the deadline was looming and everybody knew that. I knew it and I haven't been to a meeting in 5 months, so.
The leaders knew it.
The leaders knew it.
But we did not. I'd like to comment to that.
That's correct.
I'd like to comment to that. I'd like to reply to that. I attended all these meetings. I didn't attend the township meetings unless they were the joint meetings, as we had them in the past. The COLT money was discussed, and yes, it was discussed that they wanted that money. But I reviewed the budget per the request of the president of the Fire Territory Board member, and that COLT money was not needed. The number's right here. Go on Gateway. I know what was said in the meetings, but it was not accurate information. And the people that sit and hear that and won't look, there was never any documentation presented to us to prove to us that we needed that. We had one meeting and it was tried to be explained by the trustee, and they were down in dirty numbers. They had the numbers on there that were off by several $1,000s. When you did the math on them, they weren't even accurate. She said the information came from the financial advisor, and when you sat and done the math on them, well, she wasn't giving us any of his paperwork or his reports. This was her numbers, her paperwork, her reports. What I'm seeing here is Lee Ellenat hit it right on the head. She asked Chris what type of contract fee would it be for Atlanta or Arcadia to go. She says the .196. What does that tell me? We're at 1.96 as a group right here with representation for Atlanta, representation for Arcadia, sitting right here on this board. It's a power thing here and a control issue, in my opinion. She wants us to dissolve, which they did, but if we want to stay and have fire protection for the town of Atlanta as a joint, we will pay her the same amount of tax, the revenue. So why do we not stay as a territory if this is working at .196 is what she want to ask for a contract after it dissolves?
Right.
It's a lot better to stay as a group.
Right.
And we have Atlanta's equipment, we have Atlanta's fire station, we have additional equipment up there that they are using as a territory that will no longer be. Right now, our fire station's setting up there, and everything that has happened with this fire territory, whenever they're supposedly, well, we're running low. Well, what happened? No more shifts, no more station up at the Atlanta Fire Station. Now, we had an ambulance up there when this thing started with a lot less money in the budget, a lot less tax revenue. We have increased the tax budget, or the budget for the fire territory almost double, or more than double since this thing started. And Atlanta was staffed before we had this kind of money to operate off of. But the money is not being put into the proper line items and categories, and it's misleading as to why we have shortfalls in certain areas of this. But in the end, there is always enough money to cover the budget and stay within the amount of budget that we were approved for to operate for that previous year, or for that particular year. Now, what Lee Evelyn said is, it's true. It's going to be .196 to be a contract basically for Atlanta or Arcadia, so nothing is changing there, and they're going to keep all this money and they're going to get every bit of it. So that township is going to be operating as sole control operator of everything, and there's no representation for either one of our communities.
You just got fired.
Basically, they want
Basically, yeah.
You just got fired.
It's
There
control.
there was an issue here back where we discussed a year ago. There was a big fallout. I was not invited to the meeting, and there was a meeting held, and it was about getting 5-member board. And the township wanted 3 members to be on the board, and they wanted majority rule. So that didn't take place, so this is the answer to that. They pull out and then get our .196 back, and we're still in there, and they got the control.
So you just confirmed what I said, John. which is, it was crystal clear that it was gonna come to this. You didn't have to, I didn't have to be a member of
It
the
ain't
board.
financial though, that's my point, it's not a
Well, I mean,
financial issue,
again, I
let's tell
think
the truth.
intelligent minds can disagree
Well, I
about that.
don't have
but
a problem
This
with
has been
why.
planned for a long time.
There's been an issue within the territory, and it ain't financial.
But didn't they just say in December that there was no
What is
plan
it?
to
So is it
pull out?
personal?
Yes.
Yes.
So, I mean.
It's a
saying
personal
that it
issue.
was-
Okay.
They were blindsided, I mean, they took what
There
they
was
said.
always an April first.
It's not controlled.
Well, so, I guess I'm going by her. The idea that you were blindsided or not, I thought it was said that in December, I thought they said, ma'am, I haven't been. They want to take control.
I'm just telling you what I can see.
Right.
Okay. Let's stop there, because having a conversation with everybody else, I wanna make sure, we go back to the, you're asking questions of us, and you guys wanna talk, that's fine, I agree, we have a disagreement on that, but the bottom line is that this is what it is, this is an information gathering, and hopefully everybody's listening to what's going on here, so you know what to do.
One more thing, and then I will shut up.
All right, thank you.
I think that, something else that people aren't considering is if there is a fire in the unincorporated part of the township, where's the water gonna come from? It's gonna come from Atlanta or Arcadia. And how would the township like it if we said it cost us money to manufacture that water?
.196.
We're gonna have to come up with some sort of agreement before we can get water from the fire out in the township. And I think that it should be 0.19%.
So it sounds to me like the decision to disband the fire territory has already been made. So now it's gonna fall down to Arcadia and Atlanta to figure out what our options are. So I assume at some point you guys are going to have additional town meetings that we figure out what our collective options are.
As I said before, we just found out about this part of Arcadia. We had our executive session about this. We do have a plan, we do have options we're looking at, there's other things going on. I can tell you that if you attend, and I hope everybody attends the Arcadia Town Council meeting. If we brought up today what's going on, there'll be independent, there probably will be meetings between, executive sessions between Atlanta and Arcadia to decide on one other aspect. So there's gonna be a lot of meetings attended, and I encourage everybody to attend those meetings. Yes, sir.
I just asked, when you said it's not financial, I asked, is it personal? You said yes. Can you elaborate on that at all?
There was just some issues that took place between me as a representative overseeing, looking at the budget as requested, and a provider unit. So it became a personal issue between me and her, and that's, I think, is the whole reason for all of this, because until that took place, the fire territory was running smooth as silk, and it wasn't an issue until I was asked to look at the budget.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Miller, you're saying that this is a financial issue. We have proof that this is not a financial issue.
We have opinions that it's not.
Where are your numbers?
My numbers are, I don't know.
Why, you knew about this meeting.
John's got the numbers.
He has the numbers. Does he need to pass them over?
And he's even saying it's not financial, so we
we would like to see your numbers.
I'm more than happy to do that. I would prefer that those numbers go with the council members so that we can discuss them as well, but they are available.
So that's, thank you for the input, appreciate it. But it will, just if you ask for the answers, you'll receive it. It's all public record. Everything's all public, yes, ma'am.
So Chris, since you've heard all of our complaints tonight, and you sit on the trustee board.
I am a trustee.
And a trustee. So you've heard all of our complaints, and you keep saying that July, but we could carry it on to December. Can you take it back to the rest of the trustees and suggest that they backtrack a little bit, listens to the people that put them in this office, and maybe sit down with the towns and sit down and at least come up with some options and then bring it to the public and let us know instead of just coming in and saying, no, we're not going, this decision's been made.
That's the option she has. The territory's done. The
territory is done.
It's done. But can you backtrack and make it undone?
No, they're not going to.
The
It's done.
decision was made, the resolution was
It's
made.
done.
But in the idea that you just said is like, this decision was made on the 10th of February, and if I'd had I would much rather have had an opportunity to sit down with the town so we could discuss issues and bring pertinent information tonight, but there certainly are.
Well, yeah.
Why wasn't this discussed with the public first?
We had a public meeting.
When?
At 3 o'clock
At
in
3
the
o'clock in
afternoon,
afternoon,
when everybody's at work.
Paying your taxes.
Paying her for a job.
I was gonna.
Hush.
I only wanted to say, thank you for having this meeting tonight and letting people come out and talk about this. As you can see, it's very important. We need to get some answers to this. I came here to listen, and try to understand what maybe some of the options are, but more importantly, I want to know what I can do to help and bring these people together so we can get this thing worked out.
Get her out of office, that room.
I want to point out that everybody knows this is Commissioner Mark Airburn. And I can tell you that I can vouch for Mr. Airburn, and he has put more time up here in the northern part of the country than the other commissioners. And he has spent a lot of time in meetings, so I think we appreciate it.
Maybe two questions. This was never discussed in any public meeting to disband, because it's not in any of the minutes or anything. So were executive sessions held between you three?
The township board meeting was a public meeting.
Okay, so you discussed it openly before you voted?
Yes.
So we'll read that in the minutes.
It has to be approved by the township board, but yes.
Okay, it wasn't discussed prior to February the 10th.
I mean, we've had discussions amongst ourselves, but there was
Amongst yourselves, not amongst the public.
With
people's lives.
You can't meet without having
no meetings, absolutely no meetings. No, absolutely not. No meetings.
So then how can you make a decision without a meeting?
If I meet you at a coffee shop, that's a meeting.
It's a decision of the township board. It's a decision.
That's why I was just asking if this was discussed. It was only discussed at the February 10th meeting prior to voting 3-0 to disband the fire territory.
Yes.
John, I recognize John.
I got a question for Chris. That February 10th meeting where this was discussed, was that meeting recorded?
No, it was not. My recorder is messed up.
It wasn't audio recorded.
My phone has an app for that.
Let's keep it down, please.
She has one right here.
Yeah.
All right, if I'm understanding this right, there was only a meeting on February 10th, so nothing was discussed prior to that, and you guys decided in one meeting not.
We've discussed this in
You
previous
told me that there was a
Well,
public hearing.
for exactly saying it's going to be voted on today, that the entire territory is going to be dismantled. You decided on February 10th to vote on it that day instead of trying to get the public involved. Wouldn't you think that that would be something that would be important to have discussed with?
It's a township board decision.
But what I'm saying is that you had it discussed and voted on in one day
Yes.
to do that. You didn't think that that should be something that you should have Town of Arcadia making sure that they knew exactly what was going on?
The decision to withdraw from a territory is the decision of each entity. So if Atlanta wanted to decide to withdraw, they would make that decision.
But Atlanta didn't know about it.
But each individual person, each individual entity can withdraw on its own. And the township made a decision as one entity to withdraw.
Without talking to the councilman.
Without the public knowing about it.
I'd like to comment on that. Chris says there's been discussion of township, at township board level and stuff, they have discussed it with the township board. Go on the Jksn Township Trustee website and you can read the minutes, and there's no discussion in there where they have discussed actually withdrawing from the territory or anything that is actually approved minutes. So I don't know when this was discussed, whether it was a violation of the open door law or what, but if you look in the minutes, which you would think if there was a discussion, it would be in the minutes that is approved and online for people to read. So, I don't know when it was discussed, but like I say,
And you can tell me that it was publicly noticed that you were gonna have this decision. When you did it on the 10th and voted on the 10th.
In a closed session.
How was anybody in this room notified that you were doing this 20 minutes before you voted?
It was,
We who?
We who?
We who? You and two other people?
Three.
You and three other people? Do they live here? I mean, you can't beat the bush, guys. We might as well leave. She said what she said. It is what it is. We just go
Let's get out
home.
of hand here. If you don't feel that you get any more answers that you're looking for, you're more than welcome to leave the room. But those people that still want to stay here and get the answers they need,
We're waiting. Someone's not telling us the truth.
I just like to keep hearing her bury herself in lies.
Follow-up question to what I already asked. It's my understanding you said that once you got asked to look at the budget, button heads, my words, not yours, was there something you found? Was there a certain reason you were asked to look at the budget that would make this?
I was asked to look at the budget for the simple fact that the provider unit, which is the Jksn Township Board, was stating that we were gonna have a shortfall, we were running in red, they wanted COIT money and different things, and if they didn't get the town's COIT money, then we were gonna be going upside down. President of the board, Reese St. Louis here, asked me to review the budget to see if there was any place for cuts or anything to where if there was an issue, that we could find cuts to make the budget work. And I took that challenge on and I went through the budget. I took the previous year's budget. I had very little cooperation getting documents I needed and stuff like that to do it. Next thing you know, I'm on a witch hunt because I'm asking for documents that was necessary for me to do and fulfill my task that was asked of me. And I was told I kept being told to go on Gateway. You can get her reports, but you can't get receipts. And I was asking for different documents, and which is public record. And, but there was a lot of conflict there. I wasn't getting what I actually needed. But I did get through, and I found out by the numbers and everything that I did and what I was supplied with, there was no issues. And what I feel is she felt that someone was looking over her shoulder and she didn't like it, and it happened to be me. So ever since then, there's been an issue, and I'm the bad guy for doing that. My job was asked by the president of this board to help ensure the safety of the budget and make sure that it was there so we could continue to operate. And if there was an issue, what my suggestions would be to keep it, the territory running at the existing budget we had. That's what I did. And when I looked through it, I found nothing. I had Robin Emmer, which she did 16 years. Robin Cook, 16 years with the Atlanta Town Council for treasurer, and she's very, very knowledgeable at this. And I even had her reviewing it with me and going over numbers and everything, so that when we got to the end of this thing, there was no problem. They just wanted the COIT money, and that was basically it. And ever since then, it's been a backdoor threat. We'll pull out. And when you ask them, well, they ain't made a definite decision. You know, I mean, it's been just said here and there, but it's never been discussed. So at the present time, like I said, you can go on Gateway government website. You can pull up all the documents. It shows the cash, the existing cash. It shows expenditures. It shows the money receipted in. You can go in there and you can see disbursements by vendors, who the money went to, the amount, and you can see it per year. And it goes back to 2011. You can go in and print it off. It's public record. It's an annual report that's got to be submitted by government agencies, and it's right here. It speaks for itself in black and white. And everything I've been told, I don't see no black and white. I hear it from her, out of her mouth, and I don't see any documents to back it. So I think that was an issue when I requested documentation to back what she was saying. And that's the only way you're going to get the facts, is to see it in black and white, see the proper numbers, not down and dirty numbers that don't even add up. And that's what I mean.
Can I ask your opinion on something? What is it, in your opinion, about this budget and them saying there's no money, you saying it is there, what, in your opinion, what, I don't, that's what I'm not understanding though.
It goes back to the personal issue where they want to control the fire territory. And basically, there was no issues, and as long as we stay a territory, each entity has a representative, so they couldn't get rid of it. She won me off the board, and it didn't work, so this is the backdoor way of doing it, is to dissolve the territory, turn around and offer us a contract for the same tax rate, and nothing changes for them other than they got the way. There's no representation from Atlanta, no representation from Arcadia, and they're gonna be up here telling us how it's gonna be and what it's gonna be. And that .196, after it's in there, she's already talking about needing more money down the road and expecting the COA to go up, and if the COA don't go up, where's that increase in the revenue gonna come to keep that territory for township? It'll be township. Your taxes, out of town's budget, Atlanta's budget, Arcadia's budget, anybody that contracts with them. I've been on the board, and I've seen it happen to White River. I know exactly what takes place.
Gentleman all the way in the back.
This is Director John Pfeiffer. Why ain't there not an investigation maybe opened up to see where the problem is?
You know.
Can you reply to the lack of supporting documents?
I copied 1,000 copies, and I asked them to come in. I told them that I would absolutely make all of the copies available to them. I just couldn't allow them to take the original receipts out of the township office. But I made 1,000 copies and then said they were welcome to come in and look through them. But you can't let your original documents leave your place of, you can't take original documents out. But they were absolutely available.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have a response to what John is saying that it's a personal thing?
I don't feel like it is. I mean, and you know, we can sit and we can discuss it, and you're gonna look at the budget's fine. We have the funding, it's a matter of funding 2 and 3 years down the road.
I'd like to provide that, she said budget 2 or 3 years down the road. The projected budget she's referring to in her presentation to us that supposedly come from a financial advisor about this, that she was talking in the first of 2015, that they were going to have to take out of the EMS fund run money $70,000 per year to keep this territory running. And that's what she was saying that was projected by the financial advisor, and you can sit right here in the cash report, and there was, for 2014, there was $10,000 put in there instead of 70. It's a far cry from what she was projecting, and or it's 9,900 for 2015. So that's another far cry. For 2 years or better, there's nowhere near what she says his financial advisor has told her that this thing has got to have. And I sat on the board and I reviewed that budget for 2015, where we were supposedly going to need $70,000 out of this particular fund. There was money put into the budget, and the fire chief and the provider unit work on the budget, and they put it together for the most part, and everything in the line items put together, and what they say is needed for the year is divided up, put in there. There was $40,000 for building and maintenance in last year's budget, because the township building needed a brand new roof, and it needed this and it needed that, and a lot of that money went into the township. And if we hadn't spent the money out of the territory, that she's saying that we have a shortfall to keep the fire department running, instead of fixing her building and put it where she's saying it needed to go, this would not even be the topic up here. But to me, that has happened. There's receipts that's in there to where the contractors have been paid to maintain that building. And there's an interlocal agreement between all three entities that are not being followed. And in that interlocal agreement, it states right in there that the buildings are belonging to each individual entity. Atlanta owns their building, they keep their own building, they keep their fire trucks, Jackson Township keeps theirs, and there's supposed to be additional documentation added to that to define how that maintenance and repairs was going to be done. A lot of these weren't repairs, they was just remodeling. Remodeled the sleeping quarters, put up a wall between the bays and the offices and things like that. Remodeling inside of that building out of territory money. but yet they're saying we don't have the money to operate and keep the fire territory going. We're dumping it into their building. And I'm telling you right now, here's one thing that really gets me, since you brought that up. We don't have any money, we got a shortfall right now, but yet the township has to prove encumbering money. Now, we don't have any money, but they encumbered almost $12,000 from 2015's budget to do more work on their building this year. At the same time, they're sitting there drawing up a resolution to pull out of the territory. Dumping another $12,000 of territory money in their building.
That's convenient.
It's right here. It's right here. There's documentation. It's in minutes. All you guys got to do is look right online.
Is that for the fire department that's out here, or is it for her trustee's office?
Nope, it was for the fire station. The revolving fire station. Fire territory money.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'd like to ring on that too, where she says there's plenty of money for supplies. I can't remember, but it's about 6-7 years ago. Jksn Township come over to the fire in town here, my neighbors. It was dark like this, lightning struck, power was out. They came, they had no flashlight. I'm the one that supplied the spotlight, which the firemen broke and the one that worked. But you know, I mean, where was their money when it's a big joke around that block that they came, middle of the night, no lights on in the house, no power, and they had no flashlight, no supplies.
7 years ago, I don't have that information. It was different trustee, a different operation, different fire chief. I can't answer to that. I can answer it from 2011 forward. Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is a question for her. In your budget, how much money do you have allowed for your paramedics and your firemen to run down to Casey's and get them lunch when they got a cafeteria right there, or lunchroom right there in their firehouse? How much do you have allotted for that?
Well,
They burn fuel, they go waste time, they're going down and getting them something to eat, coming back, and I've seen the paramedic out here, running through the countryside at 70 miles an hour, driving around, me and Bob Moore. We were coming back to town and we couldn't even catch him. So how much you got allotted for that?
I wouldn't be, I don't know about that situation. I mean, that'd be a cheap.
Well, I mean, that's part of your job, right?
Just a minute. If you have a pertinent question that you need answered, that's fine. But that's an operational thing. Did you report that to anybody?
Yes.
Who?
You in the town meeting that one day.
That they were driving fast downtown? And you followed them?
Yeah.
With what?
Bob's car. We were coming back from Lapel.
Okay.
We couldn't catch him.
Yes, ma'am, all the way to the back.
I know some of you know me. I'm not a politician by no means. Okay? I don't care about money. I don't care about 1.96. I care about who's going to respond to my house. And I know these guys because I dispatch for them. You want quick response time? Those are the ones that can give it to you. You split it up, and then the town's going to be responsible for somebody's death.
What is the response time for Jksn Township?
In town, it's about 3 minutes. That
About 3
gives them
minutes.
time to suit up, get the truck, and go.
That's because they have people on site,
Yes.
correct? Exactly.
So why would you dissolve that?
I have a comment on that. Granted, this was 25 years ago, 6 years old. I grew up right here on 308 North Olive. Helen Floyd Robinson and her grandparents. House right across the street from me burnt down to the ground. Jksn Township was the first fire department there within 5 minutes. Burnt to the ground. This wasn't a trailer, this was a house. They no longer respond to in-town. We have to go to Cicero, we have to go to Sheridan. What's going to happen to anybody's house?
Who doesn't respond to?
Jksn Township's out on another call. We have to go to another because they're not our sole provider. We have to go to whoever we're contracted to.
No. Dispatch is the one that controls that. You got a first response, second.
So then why do we need to contract with another fire department?
Well, that's all about, it is about getting the resources and the town to be responsible for.
It's all about money.
It's all about money.
The money that's there. But it's not there. Okay.
I believe Pfeiffer's number, she's got them in front of me.
So who do we go, how does the people like me find out who is telling the truth? Is the money there? Is she not telling the truth? Is Johnny not telling us the truth? Are the numbers that Johnny has, are they fake and upside down and who knows what? And why would one person be allowed to be on more than one council board member?
Where do you
I
live,
mean,
sir? Where do you live?
right here in Arcadia, I've lived here my whole life. And I just don't understand. You know, what do we do? I mean, how do we find out if Johnny's telling us the truth or if Chris is telling us the truth?
I'll answer that.
How do we find out?
Right here.
John's got papers
Right here.
in front of him.
So you've got the truth right there.
Right here it is.
So you're telling me that's the truth?
This is her annual report that is required for her to file to the state. And it goes to the Gateway government site, and this is what I'm telling you. These are her actual numbers. That's the reason you can go on there and see that there is money in this fire territory.
Gateway.gov.
It's Gateway, go with Gateway Government Indiana and pop on there and click on the report builder, and you can pull up all these reports. These are filed by her. These are her numbers that she has given to the state, stating how much money's still in each fund, how much money was received in, how much is dispersed out, and what's still there for the next beginning of this year.
It's all public record.
It's all public record, and there's other documents on there that you can get to see who she paid money out to, disbursements to vendors. You can go in there, you can get all this. This is all public record. That's the way I know what I've got here is accurate.
So what's your response to that?
My response is
To us.
the same thing that I said before, is that we have the funding now to run the department. We're being proactive and looking 2 to 3 years down the road of saying there's going to be shortfalls, and we're trying to make the proper moves to enable those shortfalls not to happen.
Both Robin and John are saying 3-4 years down the road, we are going to have the money.
I don't understand it either.
I would not agree with that.
How much money did we lose last year? Or how about the 3 years before that? We've gained money every year, but we're predicting a downfall.
We have had an influx of cash from grants, and that influx from grants is going to go away. And so as that money goes away, we're going to start eating up the EMS fund, and eventually we're going to go in the red. And what we're trying to do is make a move so that we don't go in the red. I mean, that's what the move is for.
Yes, ma'am.
You keep saying that, Chris, but the thing is, you're going to be making less money by pulling out Arcadia and Atlanta. It seems to me there needs to be an audit, because you put in the figures for this, and you're looking down the road. Well, if you were looking down the road when you hired the firemen on the grant, you should have kept asking for another grant for every time the grant ran out.
We have, and you can't always get them.
I know that.
You apply. And the plan was, again, with our financial advisor at our side, that the COIT money is distributed, and there's a really fancy figure for this, so to make it as easy as I can even possibly make it, it's almost like COIT is distributed kind of opposite of an insurance or of a savings account. So whoever has the biggest budget gets a larger chunk of COIT. So we thought that they would look at the township's budget with being increased because of the fire territory, and then they would give that COIT money to the township, which would then go into the fire fund. They didn't, they dispersed it separately. By making this move, we feel like that COIT money will funnel back in.
So in other words, you were assuming you would get that co-op money, and without asking the council members of the town of Atlanta and the town of Arcadia. And the township never invited any of the council members from Arcadia or Atlanta to sit in on a closed discussion like you had on February 10th and discuss this budget problem. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in this predicament.
We've discussed it.
No, you have not, because I am one of the council members. You might have. Jackson Township might have, but you did not invite the town of Arcadia or the town of Atlanta to your closed discussions on the fire township.
Last year, there was a meeting in Arcadia that had everyone attended, and Jeff Peters Rogers came to that meeting to explain, and he was there discussing it. So it was discussed.
You didn't personally invite us.
I would agree that you were not personally invited.
And you should have before discussing it.
I apologize for that, but there was a
Oh.
meeting
I
that
thought
was.
it I thought it wasn't decided until February 10th.
No, discussing the budget.
Yes, sir.
So I assume that since the fire board is going to be disbanded, there's a plan in place for how the assets of the fire board get distributed?
It's
And
all
the cities
part-
will know that,
It's
so
in the
that-
state, it's in the state, IT code, the process they go through.
And the cities will know that so that we.
It talks about
plan.
assets, it talks about debts that incurred, how it's divisible, how people pay their own share of that, and with a one-third, whatever. But there's an IT code that tells you that.
With him saying that, I want to mention the EMS funds, because there's an issue with EMS funds. That money is collected by the fire, or ambulance runs, and that goes into this particular fund. And from what I've understood, that's what she's gonna supplement this budget, to keep the township department running after this resolves. And when this document is heard, in the end of 2011, when the fire territory was getting started, there was $10,000 in there. 2012, or 2012, there was 73,900. 2013, 127,000. 2014, there's 232,000. The end of 15, there's $300,000 in there.
Oh, dear Lord.
That's money that's being carried over that they are planning on keeping to supplement the township budget to continue on and provide everyone their services after Atlanta and Arcadia is out seeking other alternatives and options to have our protection for our particular.
And that's all from us citizens who have paid taxes that live in the town of Atlanta and Arcadia. That is, it's from everybody, but it's also everybody's taxes.
Okay, on July 1 of 20, when did we start?
July 1st of 2011.
Okay, on July 1st of 2011, the territory was formed. Jksn Township, which is the unincorporated again, ran the territory from July 1 to December on township funds, and we used the EMS fund. That's why there was $10,000 left. The township also financed all of the financial advisors and the legal work to get the territory put together, and they did put some money in on that, like I think $5,000, $3,000 or $5,000, I can't remember. But the unincorporated township paid for all that. We used the EMS fund for that as well. Then when we formed the territory, we expected the DLGF to give us a decent budget, which they did not. They came back and said you can have $149,000, which that gentleman's gone, but if it was 7 years ago, the firemen were ran on $149,000 plus $108,000 from the county, plus we used the EMS fund to help pay them. So they had, I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't have a flashlight back then.
I'm still here.
Okay, well, I wanted to let you know. The next thing is that because we fell short and we fought, all of us, very, very hard to try to get enough money to run, then the unincorporated township took out what's called a fire emergency services loan, which is a loan to fund emergency services. That loan was $350,000. The township, the unincorporated township, without Atlanta, without Arcadia, paid that money back. So I think we had $55,000 in the fire fund. I think when I added up, it was like $172,000 to $176,000. I don't know the exact amount. Was in the EMS fund and in the fire fund when we became a territory. Fire runs are billed, like you go to the doctor and the bill goes out and then you don't get paid. So probably if we were even to look into August, September, October of 2011, the money that was coming into the EMS fund was based on runs that were done by the township. So the township spent that money plus $350,000 in a loan for fire services emergencies. And on top of that, they bought a new engine and they bought an ambulance that everyone uses to this day, and we still are there, Plus, we brought the ambulance to the table, the old ambulance to the table. So believe you me, the township spent a lot of money getting this thing started and running it until we were able to somehow finally get our tax rate put in place.
And with her saying that, that ambulance and everything, she's talking about the township paid and the township done. That is township tax money. That's a separate levy. They got equipment,
Fire
loan.
equipment, yeah.
And it's right here in these documents. That's not coming out of their budget, folks. It's coming out of your property tax dollars.